Oh, I need to Shazam. Well, it's that, you know the song I'm singing.
I know, I just meant, like, I wonder if it would recognize you if you were just
Like
saying
if I just sang that?
Yeah.
We just making love. Bow. How to create the perfect SaaS software business. Now, I know that's a big promise, but if you've ever struggled with trying to figure out what your roadmap should look like as you start your idea and kind of expand and add new features, or you currently have a startup and you're trying to figure out the right next category to go into in regards to serving your customer, this video is really gonna just talk about what I've seen supporting, thousands of entrepreneurs building software companies, personally building my own and investing in 30 plus others. Because there's a pattern, there's certain characteristics that all the best SaaS and software companies have, and there's really 5 I'm gonna share with you in these video, and at the very end, I'm gonna share a tip to help you get going, because it's gonna be a little overwhelming, and some of you are gonna go, well, I don't have 3 and 5, what do I do? At the end, I'm gonna share with you guys how to overcome that concern. But I was blessed that I started building software companies when I was 17. I mean, 20 years now of iterating, building, technically, product, marketing, scaling, engineering, you name the challenge, I've faced it. But I've also been super lucky to be around and interact and have conversations with the founders of some of the iconic internet gems, guys like Mike McDermott at FreshBooks and Ben at MailChimp and Owen and the team at Intercom. I'm just super lucky to have been an early investor there and seen their growth from just this, super raw product that they focus on, they obsess on, like truly obsess, to finally scale it up. And what I've seen amongst, even early days of Basecamp, being able to go to Chicago and spend time with Jason Fried and the guys there in one of their workshops and seeing the way they think, I've really distilled it to 5 characteristics that I think all SaaS companies, great SaaS companies have. The first one is the product is core to the customer's business. And what I mean by this, if you think of products like Intercom and FreshBooks and Basecamp and Slack, they're great B2B SaaS businesses because at the core of their value, it is part of their customers' workflow. Like they use it on a daily basis to actually produce value and or run the business. And that is an incredible place to be as a software. So that's number 1. 2 is their cost and value proposition is super straightforward. I can't tell you how many founders, when I sit down and I do a quick coaching call with them to try to help them with positioning or their pricing page, the value proposition, how they create value and how they capture that, how they price their product, it's not clear. And if it's not clear to me, it's definitely not going to be clear to a customer that just visits a page and gives you 3 seconds before bouncing and deciding to go check out somebody else's solution. So that's the second thing, just clear value prop, and it's super straightforward. The third thing is you need to make sure that it finances its own growth. Okay, and this is a part of the pricing structure. I've seen many companies that I've worked with where they might have a low tier product, $27 a month, and they don't realize that the value they're creating, they need to move up market. So they've got to figure out a way to capture more value sooner to be able to finance their growth. Typically, that's by raising prices. For the most part, most companies can raise the price by 20-25% and not have a significant drop in customer adoption. And then the other big thing is really looking at the way that they charge for setups. I mean, if you have a product that has a bit more complexity in signing up a customer, especially in an enterprise businessy world, then having an option, it doesn't need to be mandatory, but having an option where a customer can invest $5,000 to have a consultant come in, set it up, configure it, train their team, just make it part of the registration process, make it an upsell. I mean, one of the fastest growing companies right now in the SaaS space, ClickFunnels, that's part of their funnel. It's crazy. They use their own product for the registration of their product, and part of that funnel is a high-end consulting arrangement, really because they want to just make sure if somebody needs that, because a lot of people signing up for products, they may not have the time to invest in getting it successful. So you giving them that option is a great way to finance the growth. The fourth thing is they have an efficient sales model, okay? And really, I've taught this before, you either have, high price and high complexity, and that's kind of where you want to be. What you don't want to have is high complexity and low price, because then you can invest in the right sales model. And that could be a content marketing strategy for really qualified, high volume, inbound, especially if you have a low touch, no touch, low price point SaaS business. Or it could be a really intelligent and beautiful and non-spammy and super personalized outbound email strategy to build a bunch of opportunities to kick it off to your account exec to do the demos and enroll those customers eventually to customer success. So there's really two different ways at scale that I've seen this happen, but you just need to focus on it. You need to have an efficient sales model to predictably acquire, convert, and onboard those customers as fast as possible. That's definitely a characteristic I've seen. And then the fifth, finally, is market leadership. You know, I was fortunate enough to become a formal advisor to a company called Hootsuite in the social media space. And one of the things that Hootsuite really did well from the very beginning is own that market leadership position and really look at how the market was developing and own the language and how it interacted with their channels and the messaging. I seen HubSpot do this well, so I was lucky to have Dharmesh as a mentor to me in the early days when I built my company Flowtown, and seeing how HubSpot said, we're gonna own the word inbound. When a lot of people at the time called it content marketing or social media marketing, they said, no, it's called inbound marketing. It's different than outbound, and the whole purpose is to build quality content that adds a ton of value to your customers. I mean, they went as far as writing a book together. Brian and Dharmesh wrote the inbound book. They've run a conference that has tens of thousands of people that visit it every year called Inbound. They've created communities, their blog. I mean, if you want to talk about a company that really owned the leadership in their position, I can't think of a better company than HubSpot. Salesforce, obviously. Anybody in SaaS, including you, if you're building a software in a SaaS business, just so you know, if you're youngish, if you're like below 30, you probably don't realize that all of us exist because of the marketing dollars of Salesforce. Prior to Salesforce in 95, 94, 95, really marketing and producing and convincing big companies, enterprises, to host their software on a server. Many of the products was installed. It was on premise. It was on the servers. That's an incredible challenge to have a big business say, well, I'm going to trust you to go from installing all this data in the server and the software on my servers and put it out in this thing called the cloud. So we owe a lot to Salesforce. And finally, I told you I want to leave you a tip on how to overcome this. But before I do that, I want to review. 1, you need to make sure that your product is core to a customer's workflow. 2, you need to ensure that the cost value proposition is clear. 3, you want to ensure that it has an efficient sales model. 4, you want to ensure that it can finance its own growth. And then 5 is you want to aim for market leadership position. Now, if you're concerned that you don't have those, what should you do? I'm just going to say start small, start focused, build a tool that generates a result. And just think about, if I can start here, and I call that a product hook. If you can build a product hook in a market, you can expand. It's like getting a toehold when you're climbing a mountain. Once you get that toehold, then you can start strategizing about the next positions, move your hand and your feet to get up that mountain. That is my advice to you. I'd love to hear from you below in the comments. Let me know which one of those strategies do you feel you need to spend more time on to really perfect in your business. Below in the comments. Can't wait to interact and read them there. As per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel for other tips and tricks on how to scale and grow your software company. I'd also encourage you to join my newsletter for exclusive invites, free training, and other community contests. And also, if you want to keep going, I've got 2 videos queued up for you. I will see you next Monday.